Hi, welcome back to MSA Crusaders. We're here with the episode. We have Tanya and Schneider with us. Tanya is joining us from Mexico.
Hey, Tanya.
Is in
Hi.
Mexico. And you're in Mexico City, correct?
Yes.
Do they still call it the DF or District Federal?
No, it's now called CDMX.
Is it really? Okay. Yeah, I heard they changed it for popular for political reasons.
Yeah, more or less.
Pretty much.
Pretty much, yeah.
Tanya has been with me before on Daisy's Lawn. How long ago was that? 2 years ago?
Yes, it was 2 years ago.
And Tanya spends a lot of time in the hospital. They know her well there. Tanya, tell us about your journey with MSA. When did it all start?
How it all started? Well, when it all started, well, it was 14 years ago. I had recently had a baby, my fourth baby, and everybody was telling me that it was normal to feel tired and that all my symptoms were because I had 4 kids, So everybody told me, nah, you just have too many kids that are small, and that's why you're so tired. But I felt something was off, and then one day we were having dinner, and I stood up and I just fell down flat on the floor. So that's when we thought maybe it wasn't all being tired, just being tired. And so people just got really scared. Thankfully, because nobody was really looking at me. I was telling them, I'm not well. Something is wrong. And my youngest was already 2 years old, and I had stopped breastfeeding. He was sleeping through the nights, and I was still feeling sick. So he took me to the doctor. The doctor sent me to a cardiologist, and that's when I got my first diagnosis. He told me that I had dysautonomia, and then someone said I was depressed.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That little depression, because when they don't know what you got, they tell you you're depressed.
Yeah.
So
Or they tell you you're delusional, it's all in your head.
Of course. That's the go-to answer. Instead of saying I don't know, they say, oh no, you're just depressed, and you just got to pull through and just keep
Because
on
we know
going.
our own bodies, don't we? We know when we're not right.
Yes, we feel something's off. And so I started with that diagnosis. They did a tilt table test to confirm, and well, there it was. So we had an answer, right? So I started taking Midodrine, and
for dizziness, right?
Yeah, for dizziness, to keep my blood pressure up. So we started with that, but I was so shaky. I was shaking, and I was cooking, and I dropped the spoon, and I tripped a lot. I was clumsy, so to speak. If I had to tell you, well, that's how I feel. I felt clumsy. But my PCP honestly was great. I think I owe my life to him, because he just listened. When I said something's off, I'm not okay, he believed me. And I'm forever thankful for that, because otherwise I don't know what would have happened to me. And he sent me to a neurologist, and he did some tests. He made me walk, like one foot in front of the other. And of course I failed that in grandiose style. I called him to one side, and I said, okay. And I was anxious that I was falling and tripping and all those things. But at the same time, I was saying, okay, he's doing the right tests, and we're finding out that something is not okay. So it's a weird feeling of thank God we're finding an answer, and but not really. I'm not happy that this is going on. I'd rather be healthy, but if I'm going to live with this, I'm thankful that I can give it a name.
You
And
don't
then
know
he
what you're living
said,
with.
yeah, and he said that I had to go, that he wanted me in the hospital for a couple of days. So he wanted to run some tests, and it would be much easier if I went in and if I got admitted.
Mhm.
So he could do everything at once. And well, it was hard because I had to say goodbye to my kids and
Yeah.
tell them, well, like mom will be home soon. So it was going to be a couple of days, and it became 5, and it became a week. And he ran many, many tests. It's like a torture thing. Um, I kept joking with the medical personnel, because I mean they're there to care for you. So I mean I have this black humor, and I was like, hey man, are you into torture and stuff? Are you like into uh, dark things? Because I see you're enjoying this way too much. And then when I got my diagnosis, and of course I was kidding, but well, at
Yeah.
least, I mean, if you're gonna be miserable, at least have fun while you're at it, right?
It's exactly that. So I just want it right now.
That's right. Gotta have fun.
Yeah. If you, yes, have fun while you're at it, because uh, there's a torture museum here in Mexico City, and they have all these medieval torture devices. And and the last time somebody was doing a test on me, and I said, "Have you considered about working there? I think you have talent for that kind of thing." And she was just laughing so hard, and the doctor was laughing too. But I mean, I wasn't having fun, but at least we were all laughing at how bad it was.
Yeah.
So well, it doesn't always work like that, but in many tests, that's what I do. I joke around and I
Yeah.
tell silly jokes. And well, finally, well, my neurologist came and he said, well, we're so sorry, and this kind of diagnosis is something that we really don't like to give. This is news that we don't like, but you have this thing called MSA, and we're like, what?
Mhm.
And it struck me as so unoriginal.
Right.
It's multiple system atrophy. And what happens? Well, you have multiple systems that atrophy. I mean, they're so smart. Couldn't they come up with a nicer name? Something? No. Oh, no, but they didn't. So, well, me being me, I read everything I could about the diagnosis. And of course, I read the prognosis, and I said, okay, so I'm going to die. So what's going to happen? Basically, I forgot everything else. I said, okay, I'm going to die soon. And my anxiety just skyrocketed, because I said, I have kids, I have a 2-year-old. What am I going to do? And well, that happened 14 years ago. And the 2-year-old is in high school now,
Mhm.
because he grew, and I mean, things have changed, and thankfully, I'm doing okay. I've spent a lot of time. I've spent long periods of time in the hospital, but at the same time, I'm alive and still able to do a lot of things that I never thought I would be able to do.
She joined me on Lazy from the hospital.
Really. Wow.
That's how strong
Interview from Nashville.
a warrior she is. She's just.
Tanya, how old were you when you first got the symptoms? Sorry.
I was 34.
Yeah, you look younger, and I think that plays a big part into why you're 14-ish years later you're still going, because you're much younger than the
No.
average onset age of 58, which people normally get it at. So,
Mhm.
and plus, for anyone who doesn't know, my wife's from Mexico, Michoacan. I can tell you right now that Tanya is from Mexico City, and more or less, when you have a very bad condition in Mexico, they say go to Mexico City, or go to Guadalajara, one of the biggest cities that has academic um, medical facilities. Um, we lost a few of our family members in Mexico because they weren't able to get there in time, because you'd be surprised in these other cities, like all these other cities don't have MRIs, they don't have CTs, they don't have DAT scans or nuclear medication. So the fact that she was in Mexico City, aside from the pollution of Mexico City, it was really bad. I've been there quite a few times.
What's Hydra?
Oh man, I'm surprised the pollution didn't get her, but
Uh,
being in Mexico City was definitely a great advantage to treatment and diagnostic for Tanya. I can tell you that's for sure.
Something we don't have here.
Yeah, most you'd be surprised. Most of Mexico, most of the cities, well, it's not America. That's not Europe, but they always send you to the next bigger city. So someone who has an MRI machine. I mean, you'd be surprised to see a city of a million people doesn't have MRIs and CTs. Like they have private health and they do have government health like we do too. But it's so backed up to get in to see some doctors a lot of times, especially specialists. Um, we're always able to cheat because our family has we have a doctor in the family, and we also have a psychiatrist. So we can cut the line if we have to. But yeah, it's much more different experience in Mexico than it is in the U.S.
14 years later, with MSA-A, Tanya is still working. She is a therapist, so
That's amazing.
She used to help people with chronic illnesses. She's a patient with a chronic illness.
Yeah.
So you still work. You still
Yes, I'm
here.
still working. I don't leave the house often. I work basically online. Most of my therapy sessions are online sessions because I get too tired easily. And when I get tired, as the day progresses, I start shaking more.
Yep.
My older kids, well, I call them kids but they're young adults. They say I'm like one of those Funko dolls, like or they say, like this Hawaiian doll that's at the beginning, in the part in cartoons. This because I get all shaky. But I've had to learn to. I mean, my patients come anyway, and if they get scared, well, they leave. But I have to deal with that because otherwise I wouldn't do anything. And we were talking about this having a sense of purpose. So I think having a purpose is the most important thing. And I work even from the hospital because I spend long periods of time there. If I stop working, first of all, I mean, you have to put food on the plate, right? That's one thing. I mean, let's not romanticize this. It's hard. And second, I think that having a job that I consider is important and that I love, it makes it, let's say, less hard to get out of bed and work.
I agree.
Tanya, tell viewers and listeners what living with MSA on a daily basis is for you.
Sorry, I didn't get that.
What do you do on a daily basis with living with MSA?
What do I do
on a daily basis?
On a daily basis? Well, I divide my time between being a mom, because I actually never thought I'd be in Mexico as opposed to the U.S. When kids turn 18, they don't leave for college because universities are all over the place. So they don't go. It's not like in the U.S. that it's almost like a countdown that your kids are going to turn 18 and then you have an empty nest. Well, I'm still waiting.
Not in Mexico.
It doesn't happen like that. So my 26-year-old daughter still lives here, and they've all gone to college here in Mexico. Although we're lucky because we have free college. Well, almost free. It's like $1.
You got to pay for like books and board. That's about it. Yeah.
That's cool. How old are our children?
They're 26, 23, 21, and 17.
Yeah, you know what's great about Mexico, and I'm sure other countries, but I've been to Mexico more than any other country besides the U.S. the families in Mexico are more than almost always like the closest families in the world. Like they will sacrifice like jobs and livelihoods to take care of a mom, a grandparent, somebody who has it's second nature for that to happen. But here in the U.S., oh no,
We're fighting to our children.
yeah, we don't want to put up with it. It's out of sight, out of mind. And I admired about Mexico, how their families are so close on there, where they will go to college all day to come home and take care of grandma for the next 8 hours, like without sleep. It's astonishingly, beautiful how it works out there.
It is.
Yeah.
Tanya, you have a super catheter. This you've had for 12 years.
I've had the catheter for 12 years. How
long have you changed it for yourself? How long have you changed it yourself?
Well, almost from the beginning. Like the first time the doctor changed it, because first I had I had it through my urethra,
Mm-hmm.
a urethral catheter. So that was a bit challenging. So I couldn't change it myself. But one thing that I really like to talk about, because I think it's not talked about enough, is you get a urethral catheter and people forget that you're a sexual being, like you're sick, you don't have anything other than, you're nothing else more than that.
Yeah.
And I was telling you, doctor, I'd really like to have a super pubic catheter, because, I didn't speak about it openly until one day I went to the doctor and said, you know what? I'm a married woman and I have sex. Guess what? I'm still having sex. Believe it or not. So I need something that's not in the way. And we're so ashamed of saying this kind of thing.
Yes.
And our lives would be so much better if we were open about that. And I mean, maybe you don't tell people in the supermarket, but you could very well tell your doctor. You don't have to carry a sign, but you can talk about this to your doctor. So I think it's important that we say what we need and to remind them that we're still people, because we're not just patients. I mean, we're sick. We're sick and we have all of this, but we're also moms, wives, everything else, future grandmas. I mean, who knows? There's so much going on in our life. And as soon as I told the doctor, this is why I need a catheter, he said, you're so right. I didn't think about that. And I was like, oh, you're kidding me, right? So 1 year after I had the other catheter, I had this surgery. And they didn't let me go out that same day. It took me about 2 or 3 days to get out of the hospital. And the first 3 or 4 changes were made. Well, the first one was made by the doctor, because that's protocol here.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got them changed by a nurse. And after that, I've been changing it myself. Or maybe a family member when I'm too stiff or I'm too shaky.
Yeah.
I asked one of my kids, and it's gotten quite easy. And I remember when I got home, my son was still small, and I was like, you know what, mommy is not going to be peeing like a regular person anymore. She's what are you going to be standing up? No, sweetheart, I'm going to be peeing in a bag. And he said, oh, Mom, you're so lucky. You're not going to have to remember that you have to go to pee, because we were still dealing with the fact that they forget they're playing and they forget and then they pee all over themselves. So he was so excited and so happy for me. I just laughed.
They're great kids. Yeah, absolutely.
Like, you're so lucky. And
I call that a golden purse.
Yes, son, I have run a piece just standing up.
Yes.
I can imagine.
Yes. So, well, if you ask him, I was very lucky indeed.
Yeah.
I have one I call a golden purse.
Golden purse. Pea purse.
A golden purse.
Yes, I actually carry my bag in a purse, a regular purse, a crossbody purse. So, because I don't like to have, like the sick look.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
I admire you for that.
we talked about that earlier. How people look at her and say, "You don't look sick."
Okay.
Yeah, and in the U.S., it's like it's okay to be sick and look sick. In Mexico, it's like like people who are sick, definitely sick or major illness, they don't get out very often. You don't see them very often around the malls and just financial districts and stuff like that. So I'm happy you still trying to get out there and do things, even if it's even if it costs a purse to do things, because it's very hard to get out in some countries to actually do to make yourself happy.
I think it's weird, but it has helped me in a way. I mean, I wouldn't choose it, but
Right.
the U.S. I know it has its flaws, but it being so accessible,
Yes.
it makes you relax a bit, and like you can
Yeah.
use a wheelchair because you can get around and more or less handle things. But over here, sidewalks are crazy.
Never.
Yeah,
You can't use a sidewalk. I mean,
No.
you have to use a
4x4.
wheelchair on the
Yeah.
street
Yeah.
because the sidewalk is unusable. So
Yeah.
you really have to force yourself to walk for as long as you can.
Yes.
There's no other way to get around. It's not easy. And honestly, sometimes I just cry. I'm not going to say, oh, I'm so heroic and I'm a warrior. No, I cry and I'm miserable and I don't leave the house as often as I'd like. But then I don't want to disappear, from
Yes.
life.
So you always be worrying about it.
Yeah. It's only normal to have those feelings. Yeah.
I love you, Tanya. I really appreciate you coming on and talking to us, and we look forward to having you again when we have a little more time to do with you. I'm sure you got a lot of information for our listeners.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't get that.
So you've got a lot of information for our listeners. You're very helpful.
Oh, thank you.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, we definitely want to have you back on to further explain some things you talked about. So, such as Tanya, it's called making love. First of all,
Oh, well,
I'm kidding.
well, not everybody.
My wife was like that when we first got married 20 years ago. I was like, "It's making love, David. It's not the other word." I'm like, "Okay."
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, I thought it was a Mexican thing, but it's not. She's like, "It's making love."
Yeah, he's making love.
Yeah.
Well, but I'd love to be back sometime soon.
Yes, soon. Absolutely.
It's a pleasure meeting you, David, and I hope to see you soon, Daisy, and
you
hope to be able to talk to you again.
Just remember, Tanya, that we're all MSA Crusaders.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
Thank you very much, Tanya.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
You too. See you later.
Bye.
Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.